Patos. All right, so these are some ducks, some friends of the neighborhood. I'm trying to get closer here so you can see them real nice and up close. Patos. They're good friends. They like to come and eat the food from our house that we put out for them. So today I was eating a banana. Came out here to eat a banana and hang out with the ducks. I actually came out here to go learn about some plants, but as soon as I stepped out the door, I saw these fellas. And what I did is I was eating a little bit of this banana, and then I bit off a piece of the actual banana itself, not the rind or whatever you call it. And I offered it to them. What's up? And you can see he's actually curious this time. He wanted to try it. But when it was the actual banana before, he didn't even try it. He just looked at it for a half of a second and decided it wasn't for him. At the time, he was also hungry, or at the very least, they were kind of drinking water, eating some little bits of food. So my question at the moment was, why does he pay no mind to the banana, particularly because they pay very much attention to our corn that we put out there, and that also made me think. That's a lot. That also made me think. Well, actually, I lost my train of thought. That woman was going through the mud here. Yeah, I just found it fascinating that, they are digging in this mud all day, siphoning or filtering food out of the mud. And I just found myself wondering, how is it that you are so interested in gambling in the mud, putting your mouth into the ground and seeing what you can find, not knowing if anything is there, and then when I offer you a banana, you're not even interested whatsoever. You pay it almost no mind. Like you do recognize it's there, but then you don't do anything about it. And yet, when I give you something that you know is food, for example, corn, you'll come from far away to go get some corn, but then I'll throw the banana right next to you, and you barely paid any mind. So that brought a lot of questions to my mind. Just why? Why is it that way? Why wouldn't they be more interested in what I have to offer? So I started doing some research, and really my first question was, my first hypothesis, I suppose, was perhaps they are not so attracted to sweet things. And the assumption there is that they can assume the banana is sweet. And so that's a pretty easily refutable hypothesis, or at least it doesn't have very strong legs. But let's start there. So I wondered, and I Googled, do ducks taste sweet differently than humans? Really what I Googled was duck taste bud comparison, and I wanted to see what came up. I got some really cool information. So just to start off, waterfowl, which includes ducks, geese, swans, and other birds, I think it's about 190 species, they have a considerably reduced number of taste buds compared to humans. They have 400 taste buds. Humans, how many do you think they have? We have 9,000. So we have more than 100 times more. And is that right? No, sorry. We have more than 10 times the amount. Almost 20 times the amount, actually. And you can imagine the duck tongue, although small, I wouldn't expect the surface area to be 20 times smaller. Though, I've been surprised by things maybe less surprising. But yeah, I found it really curious. And I also found a research paper that touched on that very fact, that ducks and other birds, particularly just birds, have smaller tongues than humans. They also have a lack of those taste buds. They have a reduced amount of time that the food that they eat is in their mouth, because obviously as humans we chew for a very long time, and ducks just kind of move it through. They were curious about that sound. And finally, they have a reduced quantity of saliva. Obviously a very vastly reduced quantity of saliva. So typically, or historically, we've really, as humans, discounted birds as the importance of taste in the avian world. So in birds, there I go, being all fancy. So anyhow, they have 20 times less the number of taste buds, and per surface area, per unit of surface area, they have less taste buds than humans, I can assume. However, I could be completely wrong about that. And interestingly, I was starting to read about how they have a smaller number of bitter taste receptors, or a smaller number of types of bitter taste receptors, and they also have they also lack a taste receptor that starts with T1. I think it's T1C1. I can't remember though, as my my notes here are only about half a page and I can't see the other half. This is my first video of ever, so hello future me. And that receptor is the receptor that humans have for detecting taste. And these some birds, I believe it's half of all birds, lack that receptor. Please fact check me on half of all birds. But so some birds, for example, more predatory and carnivorous birds, will not have that receptor active, and will have a significantly diminished number of sweet receptors, because what I read in the literature is that they did not need the dinosaurs that birds descended from that were carnivorous, as well as the carnivorous birds that followed, did not need to find sugars in the environment, as they have a carnivorous diet. You don't need sugar in your diet if all you eat is meat. And that has meant that birds that are carnivorous don't really taste sweet in the way we do. Or at the very least, they don't have receptors for sweet that we do. But then you might say, what about parrots? What about fruit-eating birds? Birds that like berries or mangoes, or pelicans that steal my watermelon. Well, I'm not sure what to say about pelicans, but all the other birds that are fruit eaters and might be nectar feeders in particular, I think of hummingbirds. Hummingbirds are a certain answer here. They have re-evolved the ability to have their T1C1 receptors, if that's the right receptor. And so what's really cool, that's a really nice example of the way that we may have an innate ability within our DNA to do something, but it might be hiding in the form of a mutation. So we might not, so the birds that are carnivores have the T1C1 receptor DNA in their or gene in their DNA that it's a little bit messed up, maybe 1 or 2 or X number of bases or molecules are messed up, and just by having a couple of mutations, birds redevelop the ability to have taste or sweet receptors and be able to taste sweet. So they knew to eat and enjoy a delicious mango or a delicious flower and its nectar. So anyhow, what I found really fascinating in the paper that I can't get to right now, but I think will be in version or video number 2, is that actually I can't remember, but let's leave it there. I think we learned a lot from a simple question, which is, can birds taste sweet, just like humans? I think what we found is that a banana may or may not, I'm gonna lean towards the may not, be as enticing to a duck if once actually tasted, because they probably have less ability and sensitivity to tasting the sweetness in a banana than I do. So it's probably less attractive to them if they were to actually taste it. Now, regarding the question of why don't they pay my banana any mind when I throw it at them, compared to the corn I throw at them, it seems we haven't gotten any extra insight on that question. And that's a question we might have to answer another day. Thank you to my duck friends for staying for 11 and a half minutes. Much appreciated. All right, y'all, have a beautiful day. Enjoy the ducks around you, because they're tasting things quite a lot differently than you and I think. Who's to say?